to protest against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. The protesters chanted slogans and marched from Begin Road to gather at Habima Square, where they called for Netanyahu's resignation and a hostage deal. The United States' beef is one of the thousands of casualties in the trade war between the world's largest trading partners. And in Beijing, many restaurants, even American steak restaurants, are switching to Australian beef instead. Donald Trump is reported to be studying whether to oust Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who he says has been too slow to cut the rates. The news has jangled nerves on markets, but does the US president have the power to sack a federal boss? In Ukraine, Sumy, rescuers were seen helping a dog trapped under the rubble in a video released by Ukraine's State Emergency Service today. The Empire State Building was lit up in purple, white and yellow to honor Pope Francis. The Catholic world observes 9 days of mourning, also known as Novem Diales, a tradition that dates back to Roman times.
Light, camera and action. Kick back, relax, grab your favorite snack because News9 is here with your weekend dose of entertainment. It's time to take a deeper dive into the buzzworthy happenings of the entertainment world. From celebrity gossips to exclusive conversations, from nostalgic moments to News9's pick of the week. Don't worry, we've got you covered here. And I hope you've grabbed your popcorn by now because News9's page 3 is here to serve you everything that we call entertainment. So do stay tuned every Saturday and Sunday, 2:30 p.m.
Bharat welcomes the world to a new era of creativity. Waves, World Audio Visual and Entertainment Summit. Connecting creators through Creatosphere. Wave Accelerator. Waves Bazaar.
Where stories, ideas and content go global.
Connecting countries through global media dialogue and Bharat Pavilion.
Shaping narratives and partnerships. Culture, cinema, gaming. Waves fuels the next wave of entertainment.
Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
In the age of OTT platforms, to watch or not to watch? That's the question. Because you are what you watch. It's our review, but your choice to skip it or stream it. Hello and welcome. I'm Krishna Kumar. This is Skip It, Stream It.
In a huge setback for bike taxi services in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu races ahead with 9.69% growth rate, India's fastest growing state this year. Good for Tamil Nadu. You may not be directly involved with what your son or daughter does, but your influence does well. My name is Sudha Sadanand. Welcome to the South Indian.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.
Welcome to News9 and you're watching On Point with me. Today we have 2 On Points. First, 5 tourists killed and 20 injured in Pahalgam terror attack. Second, we look at the big Waqf showdown playing out across the country. And now let's take a look at the headlines.
Prime Minister Modi calls ties with Saudi Arabia limitless, bats for trade and strategic growth. United States, India have finalized terms for the trade deal, says J.D. Vance. No visualization in constitution of any authority above parliament, says Vice President Dhankar. Karnataka CM Siddaramaiah orders legal action against Indian Air officer seen exchanging blows with a biker in viral video. Return to school, CM Mamata Banerjee tells protesting teachers in West Bengal. Maharashtra government stays its order to make Hindi compulsory for students of classes 1 to 5. In Sharbat, Jihad Rao Ramdev buckles after High Court trap, agrees to take down anti-Ruh Afza ad. Israeli airstrikes killed 25 in Gaza, reigniting conflict with Hamas as Netanyahu vows to continue war. Australians start voting in general elections as Pope's death overshadows campaigning. At least 5 people were shot dead and 20 injured as of now as terrorists targeted a group of tourists in Pahalgam. Following reports of gunfire, security personnel and police team rushed to Basai Saran meadows to secure the area and assist victims. It is supposed to be the mini Switzerland, but it turned red with the blood of innocent Indians. Basai Saran is accessible only on foot or a horseback, making evacuation efforts more challenging. The terrorists targeted a group of tourists who had come to J&K from Rajasthan, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and other parts. Terrorists reportedly asked the religion of the victims and then shot them point blank. This is the first terrorist attack on tourists in Kashmir Valley in 2025. All hotels in Srinagar city and the tourist resorts of Pahalgam, Gulmarg and Sonmarg are fully occupied. Let me play out the clips that were shot by the victims of this terror attack.
क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खा रही थी, मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान है उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
आप बोले ना मुझे
क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खा रही थी, मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान है उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
आप बोले ना मुझे कहाँ पे आपका बेटा कहाँ पे है? कोई बात नहीं, हम इनके साथ है। ये प्रेसिडेंट है ना, वही साहब, ये यूनियन का प्रेसिडेंट है, ये साथ नहीं, आपको कोई टेंशन नहीं। मैडम आप कोई टेंशन मतलब, हम साथ में। अरे मैडम ये प्रेसिडेंट साथ आया है, आपको किसी चीज का डरने का नहीं, हम साथ में। आपको किसी को क्या हुआ है? आपने क्या देखा है यहाँ पे? कहाँ पे आपका बेटा कहाँ पे है? कोई बात नहीं, हम इनके साथ है। ये प्रेसिडेंट है ना, वही साहब, ये यूनियन का प्रेसिडेंट है, ये साथ नहीं, आपको कोई टेंशन नहीं। मैडम मतलब हम साथ में। अरे मैडम ये प्रेसिडेंट साथ आया है, आपको किसी चीज का डरने का नहीं, हम साथ में। आपको किसी को क्या हुआ है? आपने क्या देखा है यहाँ पे? मैडम ये जो वहीद साहब है प्रेसिडेंट, आप टेंशन मत लो,
मेरे पति का बच्चा लो,
हम बचा देगा, कोई बात नहीं। बेहतर करिए फोन दब से मन युवा डिजाइन किया है। ठीक है हम बचा देंगे। मैं आ रहा हूँ। मैं कहाँ पे आपका ये हस्बैंड? मैडम ये जो वहीद क्या हुआ, इसको क्या हुआ? Okay, don't worry. You okay? You need a water, sir?
Sir, we'll manage. Just ask for help.
Okay, you first you give the help water, drop of water. Take a drop of water, sir, please. क्या हुआ इसको? क्या हुआ?
Please ask for help. We don't need.
Okay, don't worry. You okay? You need a water, sir?
Sir, we'll manage. Just ask for help.
Okay, you first you give the help water, drop of water. Take a drop of water, sir, please. क्या हुआ इसको? आप बोले ना मुझे।
क्या बोलते बोलते भेलपुरी खा रही थी, मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
आप बोले ना मुझे
पर थी, क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खा रही थी, मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
आप बोले ना मुझे कहाँ पे आपका बेटा कहाँ पे है? कोई बात नहीं, हम इनके साथ है। ये प्रेसिडेंट है ना वहीद साहब, ये यूनियन का प्रेसिडेंट है, ये साथ में, आपको कोई टेंशन नहीं। मैडम आप कोई टेंशन मतलब हम साथ में। अरे मैडम ये प्रेसिडेंट साथ आया है, आपको किसी चीज का डरने का नहीं, हम साथ में। आपको किसी को क्या हुआ है? आपने क्या हुआ? इसको क्या हुआ?
Please ask for help. We don't need
Okay, don't worry. You okay? You need a water, sir?
Sir, we'll manage. Just ask for help.
Okay, you first you give the hands water, drop of water. Take a drop of water, sir, please. क्या मैडम ये जो वहीद साहब है प्रेसिडेंट, आप टेंशन मत लो,
मेरे पति को बचा लो।
हम बचा देगा, कोई बात नहीं। भाई तो करेंगे फोन
भगवान के लिए बचा लो।
दब सिमन युवा डिजाइन क्या है? ठीक है हम बचा देंगे ना, आप टेंशन मत लो। मैं आ रहा हूँ। मैं कहाँ पे आपका ये हस्बैंड? मैडम ये जो वहीद साहब है प्रेसिडेंट, आप टेंशन मत लो,
मेरे पति को बचा लो।
हम बचा देगा, कोई बात नहीं। भाई तो करेंगे फोन
भगवान के लिए बचा लो।
दब सिमन युवा डिजाइन क्या है? आप बोले ना मुझे
थी, क्या बोलते भेलपुरी खा रही थी, मेरा पति साइड में था, एक इंसान आया उसने उसको गोली मार दी
यहाँ पे।
उसने बोला कि शायद मुस्लिम नहीं है, उसने उसको गोली मार दी।
आप बोले ना मुझे
Tuesday's attack comes at a time when registration for this year's Amarnath Yatra is going on. This year the Yatra will commence on July 3rd and conclude on 9th August. I'm joined by Adit Rajkal, Executive Editor, Strategic Affairs and National Security, News9, Lieutenant General Dear Sudha, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, Ahmed Ali Fayaz. Thank you so much for joining me. Sir, let me just straight away go to General Huda. Sir, your comments on this attack that has unfolded. We will not get into how many casualties have taken place till the number is official. But we are being told, sir, it's on the higher side. It's really on the higher side. Why have terrorists chosen Pahalgam?
So let me just say, it's a very horrific attack, a very cowardly attack. I mean, targeting unarmed tourists, by terrorists, it's something that really is not sort of acceptable, although they, the terrorists do carry out this. I think the motivation also reveals a sort of a desperation on the side of the terrorists. If you see, actually, not only this attack, but if you look at the data for last year, we find that more civilians have been killed than security forces. And what it means is that the terrorists are choosing soft targets with the name of trying to say that, terrorism is still alive. But as I said, there is an element of sort of desperation in it. I think the motivation also is to sort of counter the government narrative that, everything is fine, normalcy is there. Very often we cite data of tourist arrivals to say that, look, so many lakh tourists are visiting, which means everything is normal. So this is a sort of a battle of narratives that is playing out. So I see two elements of it. One, as I said, an element of desperation that, they're unable to target security forces. And the second, an element to sort of go against the government narrative that everything is fine.
Okay. General Sharma, do you think that this is about Amarnath Yatra, sir?
Thank you for inviting me. Firstly, I agree with what General Huda has said. It is a horrific attack, and it's one heart bleeds for the people who lost their lives. Now, having said that, I think the target was well selected. The timing was perfect. The location was perfect, and it has been carried out in a bold manner. So let me say that the first lot of tourists who have landed up after the school season is over, they have been targeted here, and then it spoils the entire tourist season that starts here in April in that area. Second, the location was good because it is far away from the road tracks. It requires a movement up by the animals or by walking. So the security forces may not be in strength out there. So it has been well selected. They innocents were also targeted. Having said that, I must also ascribe this to the, what the Pakistani army chief spoke the other day to the foreigners who came to Islamabad. And when he said that Hindus and Muslims are two nations, the two-nation theory he elaborated on, and he kept on and on ranting about what are the differences between Hindus and Muslims, and also spoke about Kashmir, taking the eyes off the world from what is happening in Balochistan or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So I would presume that it is a tap being opened by the Pakistani side to bring about the sleeper cells of those who are resting or who are available, but to take on a major attack like this, the one that has happened today. So I would ascribe it that to the last speech, it gave an impression that he was pumping up the anti-Hindu elements in Pakistan and in Kashmir, because he referred to Kashmir again and again. So it's a well planned, well conceptualized, and it needs to be taken care of in that manner.
Okay. Prime Minister has already spoken with Amit Shah. Amit Shah has already chaired a high-level meeting. Prime Minister has said appropriate action must be taken. Prime Minister has also asked Amit Shah to visit the site, who is on his way to Jammu and Kashmir. The Chief Minister of the state is already on his way to the valley. He has left from the Jammu Technical Airport. But let me just take you through one aspect of J&K. Because this attack succeeds the May 18, 2024 attack. Because the last attack that took place was May 18, 2024 in Anantnag. A tourist couple from Rajasthan was injured as terrorists opened fire. Then in June 9, 2024, in Riyasi, a bus carrying Hindu pilgrims was attacked, killing 9 and injuring 41 people. So the big question we are posing here today is, are terrorists targeting tourists in desperation since tourism is booming in J&K? Why was Pahalgam chosen? Victims' testimony suggests it was a targeted attack. Religion was asked before firing. What does it tell us? And has radical Islamism changed the shape of insurgency in Jammu and Kashmir? And we will also play out the number of tourists who have visited in Kashmir, so that you get an idea that people were going to Kashmir, not in lakhs and thousands, but in crores they were visiting the valley, which shows that Naya Kashmir is not in paper. Naya Kashmir actually existed as a norm, as a narrative. And on this, I asked Aditya Raj Kaul, decipher this attack for us.
Karthikeya, firstly, there are multiple reasons for this attack. Firstly, of course, I'll tell you that while the casualty numbers officially have been told that there are 5 and 8 others are injured, my sources
Papers
are saying,
reporting 20 are injured, which means they have been they have been sent to different hospitals and clinics.
But my information is that 25 to 27 coffins have been asked and arrived at the district police lines in Anantnag, and we will not put the details that are not officially there, but this is what I'm hearing. Secondly, there are multiple reasons for this attack. One, Pakistan wanted to internationalize the Kashmir issue, as it always wants to desperately. This is the perfect timing. J.D. Vance, the US Vice President's first visit along with his family to New Delhi, he's in Rajasthan right now, and Prime Minister Modi is in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah. So it wanted desperately to internationalize the Kashmir issue. Secondly, the booming tourism that Kashmir has witnessed over the last 3 years. Crores and crores of tourists from all across India, even hundreds and thousands from international countries, several countries coming to Kashmir. There are traffic jams being reported. There are no rooms inside hotels. Flights are overbooked completely for the Kashmir Valley. This will impact tourism in a big way. Thirdly, it wanted to deflect attention from what was going on in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Almost on a daily basis, there are killings happening, and every time there are killings in Balochistan, KPK, Karachi, etc., it diverts attention towards Kashmir. Thirdly, there was this version of normalcy in the Kashmir Valley. The government of India is talking about Naya Kashmir. It was, internationally being told that Kashmir has changed. There is more investment, there is more tourism, there are more hotels coming up, there are more hospitals coming up. There is this vision that the youth of Kashmir have to choose Indian democracy and completely say no to Pakistani proxy war and radicalization. Pakistan wanted to bust this narrative. Pakistan wanted to put its own narrative that the proxy war that we have been talking about over the last 30 years, that is still alive. And it's not shifted towards Jammu as was being spoken in the last 3 years. Kashmiri, proxy war is still alive, and there are overground workers of Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed which are very much alive. So Asim Munir wanted to push towards Kashmir yet again because he was frustrated. Karthikeya, you would remember the speech of Asim Munir just a week ago, where he said that we are not Hindus, we are Muslims, we are different, and we will teach you a lesson. There will be a strong message that will be coming out. This is Pakistan Army's men, Pakistan Army's terror groups fulfilling what the order came from the GHQ Rawalpindi boss. Clear, Kartike, that this attack is not merely a simple terror attack. It is a carnage, it is a massacre that was seen on the streets of Kashmir in the 1990s. You know, to my information, if 25 tourists, 27 tourists have been barbarically killed, and there were some foreigners also in that area, I'm just learning. I'm not sure about the foreigner casualties, but foreigners were in the area and their casualty numbers could increase to 27. This is no less than a Pulwama style terror attack, because these are not combat men. These are civilians that are involved. And in the escalation ladder, Kartike, you know, we did surgical strike for Uri, we did Balakot for, you know, what happened in Pulwama. Certainly India will have to respond very strongly.
You know, I don't know whether to compare it with Chitti Singhpura. That was a long time back, you know.
Yes.
I don't know whether people recall Chitti Singhpura massacre. Let me go to Ahmad Ali Fayaz, senior journalist from Jammu and Kashmir. Sir, what are you picking up from the ground, sir?
For me, who has reported Kashmir insurgency and counterinsurgency for the last more than 30 years, it is reminiscent of the chain of attacks on the 1st of August year 2000, when a large number of people, about 100 people were killed in 4 different attacks. One of them happened at a camp of the Yatris at Pahalgam. In total, 32 people were killed in that, 21 pilgrims and 7 local Kashmiri Muslim shopkeepers, and 3 or 4 security forces personnel, and then some terrorists. So that was a big attack. It was unparalleled till date in the last 25 years. This number of people, if this figure is correct, which we are told unofficially, 27, 25, so it surpasses even that intensity which we witnessed on 1st of August 2000. After that, there have been some attacks on tourists, on pilgrims, but they didn't have big intensity across Kashmir. And you referred yourself to the 9th of June attack on Shiv Khori pilgrims in Jammu when Prime Minister Modi was taking oath for the 3rd term. So this is definitely a chain of attacks, and it has taken place at a time when the authorities from Delhi to Srinagar, they are asserting that peace has returned to Kashmir, particularly after the abrogation of Article 370. So it is a completely new Kashmir. So Pakistan will definitely try to hit this balloon. They will try to convey to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, to the people of India and the people all over the world that we are very much there. So we are apprehensive of more such attacks, because this chain is not, this trail is now exposed from Katwa to Bilawar to Doda to Kashtwar, and this is clear that these people perhaps have gone down to Kashmir Valley up to Pahalgam. This place is just 3 kilometers from Pahalgam town. It's not exactly the town, this by Siran, it is 3 kilometers in the height.
Now the next part of the conversation is about deterrent. And General Huda, for example, I know it's chalk and cheese, there is no point comparing it, but I have to say that in the process, Israelis demonstrated the deterrent in Gaza. I'm not justifying all what has happened, but a deterrent has been demonstrated, the cost of attacking the state. I'm going to say we have deployed deterrent twice. Once in a cross-border operation which was openly acknowledged, those cross-border operations which were never acknowledged, and then the missile strike, the Balakot, correct, the openly acknowledged. What should be the deterrent here, sir? The cost of attacking Indian citizens.
Look, I've always maintained that there has to be a high level of deterrence to deter Pakistan from carrying out terrorist attacks. That's our national objective. We don't want terrorist attacks, particularly on unarmed civilians, that are happening. And to do that, we have to take some action. So, as you mentioned, it's been done in the past, sometimes acknowledged, sometimes not acknowledged. It happened in 2016, it happened in 2019. I think it's clear and I think Aditya also made that point, that, and I think General Sharma, that Pakistan is upping the ante. And it's not only the single terror attack. I mean, we've through the last year. And so therefore we need to start, this is the strategy, or this kind of cross-border operation should be done. But certainly if through diplomacy, international pressure, we are not achieving what we are achieving, then the use of military force is an option that's on the table.
Aditya, do you agree?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, there have been reports doing rounds. I've been talking about, that there is this eerie calm in the Kashmir Valley. And of course, there has to be a response. What I see happening right now is that already the flight of Home Minister Amit Shah has taken off to Kashmir. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha is with him. They will be doing a review meeting. The intelligence chief of Jammu and Kashmir, Nitish Kumar, is also there. And there will be a unified command sort of a meeting where an analysis will be done. But the major meeting that I see happening in the next 48 hours, that is after Prime Minister returns here, is the Cabinet Committee for Security. That is the main meeting that is going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours, which will decide the next course of action.
Okay.
And the next course of action, as we have seen in the past, will not be diplomatic. We have seen diplomatic response to Pathankot, Nagrota and several other attacks that have taken place. This government is known to give a strong response. What exact nature of the response would be? Will the Indian Army or the Indian Air Force or the intelligence in some way be used? Will they wait for some time, as they say, perfect time of their own choosing? But there will be certainly a response in the next few weeks. That's what the Prime Minister will be, talking to its cabinet colleagues, and of course, especially the intelligence chiefs and the 3 military chiefs as we go further and after he returns to Jeddah, from Jeddah tomorrow. Because as of now, the top priority would be to provide security to tourists in Pahalgam and neighboring areas, to take care of the mortal remains of the dead, whatever the number really is right now, because they are from different parts of India, mainly Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Odisha. That is what I am being told, and it's very unfortunate that this has happened. But of course, as it goes, India will have to respond. They will also have to wait for J.D. Vance to depart because he has another couple of days to go. But I don't think anything will be done in haste, as has been our knowledge from the past experiences of Uri and Pulwama. I think a very, very well calibrated and a calculated call will be taken by the government of India. But one thing is very clear, Kartikeya, that this is a massacre, this is a carnage. Every Indian's heart bleeds to what they have witnessed, the gory visuals that are coming on the screens of that woman actually sitting alongside the dead body. She was the one who called the PCR and informed them about this terrorist attack.
I have to break this bad news. The sources are saying that more than 20 people have been killed. The sources are saying more than 20 people have been killed. It's likely to go up. The toll is likely to go up. I really don't want to do breaking news on how many people have died, but that suffice to say that the more than 20 people have been killed. And as Aditya said, that very soon when the Prime Minister is back, that the Cabinet Committee on Security will meet. General Sharma, obviously the response have to be of your time and place and of your choosing. And the deterrence will be decided by Indian state. But this is one question which I've been asking last 7 months. This play at the LOC, where the so-called ceasefire existed and attacks on our forces continue to take place, has it paid any dividends to our security, our grid?
So the ceasefire is another, a different kettle of fish, and let's not compare two things together, the act of terrorism and the line of control. The line of control, when it becomes active, leads to another level of seriousness on the borders, because the larger caliber weapons like the artillery and others get opened up, and it causes immense amount of casualties. So the ceasefire is another issue altogether. Whether the ceasefire will stand or ceasefire will break is something which it's been spoken of number of times. The ceasefire is on slender as a thread. But I think my personal opinion is that the ceasefire is not going to break so easily. However, having said that, a response indeed is essential. This is a carnage. This is a carnage of a level like what we saw in Uri, or we saw it in Nagrota and many other places. which is a carnage, and we need to respond now. How and what measure of response? See, consequently to last few years of this kind of dramatic acts taken place in last 10-15 years, the armed forces have also brought about a change into thinking processes, and there is a repertoire, a quiver of arrows available for taking action, which all are available with the government. If we war game, thought about it, which one of the arrow the government to use this time is from the government, and when, of course, it's an issue of choosing. I agree that we should not outguess the government as to what they wanted to do and when they want to do it. But of course, a response is required, because this is obviously a fanned issue coming from Pakistan, no doubt about it, because the way he said, the way the Pakistan Army chief spoke, it was clearly in sleeper cells to come and take action, because saying very clearly that the Hindus and Muslims are two different people. He forgot about Bangladesh in his thought process, but he was inciting, and I agree with what Aditya says. Look at what's happening in Balochistan and with the TTP in KP. They have no answers to give across the Durand line. So naturally, they have to draw attention across towards JNK, and we need to be cautious.
Okay. Okay, we have to be cautious. But there is another thing. Proxy has taken responsibility. Lashkar-e-Taiba proxy has taken responsibility. Mr. Fayaz, is this just a sort of a diversionary tactic, or what are your sources telling you? Which is the organization behind this for the particular attack?
Clearly, it's not a diversion. It's everybody knows that the Indian state about it is that Lashkar-e-Taiba has assumed a new trend, that is the PRF, and we are told that the people have claimed responsibility of this attack. And this is also significant because of the fact that the last such massacre, which we remember took place 20 years back in March 2003 in Nadipura, where 24 Kashmiri Pandits were killed. Thereafter, I don't remember a single incident in which more than 24 people were killed. So this is clear that after the Financial Action Task Force pressure on Pakistan, there have been different outfits assuming different names. Everybody knows that who is behind them, that these are front organizations working on behalf of formidable jihadist outfits operating from Pakistan. That's clear enough. But we people in Kashmir are apprehensive that such kind of strikes can cause considerable fear, because we have been telling the people that this is a peaceful land now. We have been telling that over 2 crore tourists have been visiting. At the other side of the story is that actually out of those 1.1 crore of these people were the Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine pilgrims. And when the exact figures were given in the parliament in the recent session, so the total number of the tourists who had visited Kashmir in the year 2024 was only 11 lakh. So this has been overplayed in a sense, and it has been, some people view it as a provocation, but this is a terrorist act, and wherever they will find it possible, they will strike.
Okay. General Huda, my question remains very plain and simple. We spoke about deterrence. This cycle of attack continues like a tide. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and it goes down. But do you think that this sort of a attack at such a large scale will create a new leaf in terms of India's response? There are attacks, for example, like 26/11. It reshaped our policy. It reshaped our responses. Kargil reshaped our responses. Do you think it's like one of those attacks, sir?
I wouldn't say it's something that could reshape. See, I think I firmly believe we need a long-term strategy. We can't really be saying this incident has happened, so let's respond in so and so way. I think we need a long-term, and you mentioned a long-term deterrent strategy of how is it that we are going to force Pakistan to stop using terrorism as an instrument of state policy. And obviously, any long-term strategy will have all the toolkits now. We've tried diplomacy, we've tried international pressure. Whether the use of military force should take center stage is something that the government would decide. But I would maintain that a long-term strategy.
What is
to
the long-term
deal with-
strategy? If I may just ask you, I know, I don't expect you to, give me a kunju in terms of what a long-term strategy for the Indian state should be, but to say what is the principal kernel of it that comes to your mind to deal with a state which is also loaded with a nuclear weapon.
Yeah. So I think this nuclear part is overplayed. The key element, obviously, and I'm saying this with the responsibility, has to be military force, because there is no diplomacy that exists. There are no economic linkages that exist. There are limits to what international pressure can do, and therefore, when we are left with very few options, but with the use of military force, and I'm not saying we should start launching all-out wars, but there is, and as General Sharma also pointed out, there are options, below the threshold of a full-scale war that can be adopted. So we should have all these in place in case some action, which is why I'm saying a long-term strategy to deal with. I often think we react to one incident as we did, and we react effectively. But that doesn't become a sort of a long-term strategic thinking. That's
I think that's a very fair and important point, sir, you have made. General Sharma, I kind of agree with it. The simplicity of your argument is, I think you sum it up so beautifully. We don't have diplomatic linkages. We don't have economic linkages. There's no even human-to-human linkages in context of NGOs anymore. There used to be. So I understand the point you're trying to make. General Sharma?
So the point is that it is proverbial dog's tail. And to say that we will be able to do something to deter Pakistan from doing whatever they have been doing in the course of last 40 years, and I am in grave doubts on this one. The fact is that the Pakistan Army, the nation, stands together as an identity, as one country, only thanks to an anti-Indianism and JNK as an issue. If they don't have a binding factor, a glue to bind them together, like JNK is, the country will disintegrate. And the Pakistan Army, which stands as the bulwark of their national security establishment, will actually be hounded out. So can we deter them? No, I don't think the deterrence is so easily possible. We can make life hell for them in many other ways, including military forces, rightly pointed out by General Hooda. But then other things, even despite the fact that we have no trade with them and no diplomacy, there are a whole lot of patients of the Pakistani establishment who come across for treatment into India, which we permit them, and they come and because they can't afford to go to Dubai and elsewhere. So India is there, and we are saying we permit them even now in the worst of time. We permit them to come here. There is a whole lot of a conduit trade takes place between India and Pakistan through not directly, but through many other means, changing over transshipments in Dubai or on the high seas or in Singapore and many other places. We can their dependence on India, despite being not so independent today, is tremendous. We need to take all arrows out and put things to rest in many ways. I think one issue that I wish to raise is that Pakistan's today's pain, it comes largely from their western borders. That is from the Afghani side towards Balochistan and towards KPK. So we need to enhance our relationships on the other side, get them more and more cautious as to what's happening between India and Afghanistan, and India and Iran too. There were discussions even today. We were attending some discussions on Iran, and it is important for us to start thinking that we need to tie them in areas where they are not so expecting.
Okay. So, taking that question forward, no economic linkages, no diplomatic linkages, no other linkages. Do you think that a military option is the only option which is below the threshold of the full-fledged war?
No doubts about that. I mean, we've tried everything possible, Kartike, everything that's there in the book, diplomatically and otherwise. when I remember, I have gone to a lot of off-record meetings, briefings that have happened for editors at the National Security Council
I
level.
don't want to do warmongering in a TV studio. I ask you this from the context of a very important point which was made by General Hooda.
It's not warmongering. India would never want a war with China or with Pakistan in this particular case. India has always, till the very end, tried every method in the book. Economic, clauses that are there, diplomatic clauses that are there, everything possible till the very end. Balakot wouldn't have happened if, there are other things that would have worked. So in this particular case also, for a very long time we have tried to talk, we have tried to put pressure economically, internationally, diplomatically. That has not worked. So there has to be a strong response, and that strong response has to be bigger than what happened in surgical strike and in Balakot.
Okay. Thank you all of you gentlemen for joining me. This is the moving story. We'll continue to start all our bulletins with the carnage that has taken place in Pahalgam. The casualties are rising, but there is no competition in terms of declaring how many people have been injured, how many people died because of this dastardly attack perpetrated by the terrorists in Kashmir. Rolling coverage on this issue will continue. But this is on point one, and the next on point we look at the big Waqf protest being organized across the country, and is the real purpose to target Prime Minister Modi? That's about it. But after a short break.
The road is calling. Will you make a move? The road is calling. You've got nothing to lose.
Beyond better, the new Tiguan R-Line. Volkswagen.
Bye, please.
I am my dear cool. ये एयर कंडीशनर नहीं, AI कंडीशनर है.
A massive protest was organized against the Waqf Amendment law at the Delhi Salkatora Stadium, organized by All India Muslim Personal Law Board. It was supported by various Muslim organizations. Leaders after leaders argued that the India's constitution is in grave danger, similar to the CAA and farmers' protest. It called for an organized response against the amendment that was passed by both houses of the parliament. I would even say that the sectional protest is all poised to challenge the democratic functioning of the state. And the question is it democratic to challenge a law that has been passed by houses, both houses of the Indian Parliament? Does that make bill unconstitutional? Is it democratic per se, the protest, when the bill itself has been democratically passed because there is a mandate that was given out in 2024? Such similar protest was done 10 years ago by Arvind Kejriwal against the parliament, against the members of the parliament. So instead of Lokpal being delivered, what was delivered was Aam Aadmi Party. And all it did was to serve its political interest. And the bottom line is, are such interests becoming ploy to attack Prime Minister Narendra Modi? Let me play out the bites first, and then we'll go straight down to the debate.
वक्त की जायदाद पर कब्जा हो चुका है, तो आप इन जायदादों पर जो लोग काबिज हैं उनको आप मालिक बना रहे हैं लिमिटेशन एक्ट लगाकर। 70% अगर प्रॉपर्टीज पर जो लोग काबिज हैं लिमिटेशन एक्ट के एप्लीकेशन पर जो अप्लाई हो चुका है, और मुझे यकीन है कि कई रियासतों में उनको म्यूटेशन करवा के उनको मालिक भी बना दिया गया होगा। तो ये कानून नरेंद्र मोदी वक्फ को बचाने के लिए नहीं लाए हैं, वक्फ के काबिज लैंड ग्रैबरों को मालिक बनाने के लाए हैं। दूसरा, उन्होंने ये कहा कि पूरे मुस्लिम समाज की ताईद हासिल है। मैं उनसे पूछना चाहता हूं, जो आपके साथ में मीर जाफर मीर सादिक नहीं ठहरे, आपके सामने अबू जहल, अबू लहब, यजीद खड़े हुए हैं और वक्त के फिरौन के साथ खड़े हुए लोग।
70,000 से भी ज्यादा, 9,72,000 से ज्यादा वक्फ संपत्ति हिंदुस्तान में है, लेकिन हिंदुस्तान के गरीब मुसलमानों के लिए कोई काम नहीं आ रहा है। काम नहीं आ रहा है वो एक बात है, लेकिन उसका दुरुपयोग, मिस यूज, वक्फ संपत्तियों को कब्जा करके जो लूटे जा रहा है, यह भी एक चिंता का विषय है। तो जब वक्फ बिल को संशोधन किया, मुख्य हमारा 2 लक्ष्य हैं।
On this debate, I am joined by Jasmine Sandhawalia, spokesperson BJP, Dr. Hamid Hussain, spokesperson Congress Party, Nikhil Jain, political analyst, advocate, and Deshadan Nigam, political analyst and also an advocate. Let me straight away go to Dr. Hamid Hussain. Sir, the Waqf protest all across India is saying that it's against the constitution, undemocratically thrust. But what is undemocratic? A law being passed by both houses of the parliament? What is so unconstitutional about it, where joint parliamentary committee has been made? And thirdly, don't you think it's mimicking the CAA protest, sir? Once again, Dr. Hussain.
Yeah. Yeah, the question is whether such protection is unconstitutional or not. That is not the question. Is whether the act that was passed was constitutional or not. In our setup, in India particularly, it's not the, Prime Minister, not the President, not the Parliament is supreme. Supremacy lies with the Constitution. And who is the protector of the Constitution? Constitutional protector is the Supreme Court of India. The court is sub judice now. The question is, the moot question here is whether it's you cannot pass an act which is not constitutional. This act, particularly this act, I'll tell you, the Supreme Court asked 2-3 questions to the Solicitor General. It asked whether, this particular the right to protection, right to protection of this Article 14 and Article 15 has been violated or not. Article 14 says that equality before law has to be established. There has to be equality before law. When you have 2 members in the council, Waqf council from non-Muslims category, why can't you have similar facilities in other communities, like churches, in temples, and other things? Because it's particularly when it has to protect religious rights, right to religion is there in our constitution. That is enshrined the fundamental rights of our constitution. Article 30, for instance, Article 30 says, what Amit Shah said is in Parliament is that this is a secular activity. Management of Waqf property is secular activity. Otherwise, read the Article 30. What does it say? Article 30 says that minority communities can have their educational institutions and also administer those institutions. That means administration of...
See, I understand, sir. I get your point. I understand that the matter has gone to the court. I understand that, sir. The point I understand, the matter is with the court. My question is very simple. Every time the bills are being passed, the matter is being taken to street. I mean, so there's an element of Lohiite politics this country has witnessed in 1960s and 70s, but that's for a different debate. My issue is, even the parliament has taken a democratic route. The protest takes place in the most undemocratic way the bill was passed. I mean, so the bill was voted upon, Jasmine, isn't that correct?